This is another New Black World Order TV Productions. Chopper. What's happening, King? How you doing? Wa alaikum salam. What's your name, King?
My name is ISHMAEL ABDUL AMIR.
Okay, so this is what I want us to talk about today. We was just finished building, and I said, hey man, grab the camera. This is a golden opportunity to educate. So now, you said the Quran was sent to correct what was wrong in the Bible.
No, I said the Quran was sent down to correct everything that man distorted from the Torah as well as the Bible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Okay, so the scriptures were sent down to particular prophets, and then men...
To messengers and prophets, correct.
Right, and then men in turn corrupted those scriptures.
This is true.
Changing them.
This is true.
So the Quran was sent to correct what was corrupted by men's hands.
Distorted and corrupted.
Right, in order to bring that narrative back to its...
Because Allah tells the believer in the Quran that man took a portion of the book and put some behind his back.
Okay.
Okay? Meaning that what agreed with them or what they thought was propagating forth what they wanted to hear, then they sent with that. But anything that went against them, in other words, those things that said, bring forth truth, balance with a fair scale, give man his just due, no fornication, no adultery, all those things that were sent down, they turned around and distorted. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you followed your Jews and your rabbis instead of following what I sent down to you to follow. Okay. In other words, the Jews and the rabbis, those who were supposed to be learned men, they decided the glory, the accolades, the things that made them feel a certain type of way, they decided this is what they wanted. It wasn't so much about finance back then. It was all about who was the grandeur being seen of men, who had more followers, who had more children.
Right.
That was the stock and trade back then, and this is what men went with.
Influence.
Yeah.
So, now, if the Quran corrected everything that was wrong in the Bible, once you look at it now in its corrected form, it is now correct.
Is that a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a question.
As a Muslim, we believe that everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down in the Quran, which we could say Al-Kitab, Al-Kareem.
Yeah, Kitab, the book.
The book, that's the speech of Allah. We know this to be the speech of Allah because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent it down over a period of time, over 22 years, to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Meaning, in the month of Ramadan, this is why we fast in the month of Ramadan.
The night of power.
Okay, so he sent it down over a period of 23 years to do the angel Jibril. Jibril brought it down to Prophet Muhammad, piece by piece, until we have what you have now, the totality of the Quran. So there was no intercessions, or there was nobody coming between angel Jibril and the Messenger of Allah, when he received what we call Wahi, which is revelation.
Okay.
And this is how the book was, this is how the Quran was compiled.
Able to correct the Bible. Remember, the question is, did the Quran correct what was wrong in the Bible by men mixing it?
The Quran was sent down to make clear what Allah sent down originally.
Right,
in
to
the Torah as well as in the Bible.
Right.
So whatever was in the Torah and whatever Allah sent down in the Injil,
right, the Gospel,
whatever was distorted by man, King James or whoever men, he sent down the correct knowledge of what the believers, those who believe in one God, monotheism.
Couldn't have corrected the King James Version because it wasn't even in existence then.
No, because the Quran came down over 1,400 years ago.
Right.
With that being said, it sent down the purity of what God wanted us to understand and believe as His creatures here on this earth.
Okay.
This is what He wanted us to follow.
All right. So now, whatever the Quran did not correct in the Bible,
or whatever was left out that man has no understanding or clear understanding on.
Now listen what I'm saying. The Quran...
Cite an example for me.
Okay, all right. So, if the Quran, like let's say, if my mama came to check my room.
Okay.
And I was supposed to clean it up.
Okay.
If she don't find everything straight that she told me to straighten,
yes, sir,
I am now correct.
Incorrect.
No, I'm correct. If I did
what she asked
me to do,
then you're
I am correct.
Then you're in compliance.
But if it was something that she didn't tell me to do, that's on her.
This is
right.
Clear. Okay.
So what I'm saying, whatever the Quran did not say was wrong, you know, it's correct.
Specifically. Now, there may be some things that wasn't clarified. In other words, let me give you an example of what we're talking about. We're talking about usury and riba. These are things like
interest.
Interest.
Right. Okay, so now the Quran corrected that.
The Quran spoke to it. The Messenger of Allah was supposed to have expounded.
Said Allah hates it.
But he hates it, but he never really gave fulsomely to. In other words, here's an example. Bilal, radiallahu anhu, came and brought Prophet Muhammad some dates. The Messenger of Allah asked him, where did you get these dates from? He said, well, I had some older dates, and I sold them, and I came and I brought you these better dates. In other words, there was some specific name to these dates. Dates being a fruit.
Right.
Those who are following the conversation via whatever.
Right. That's the fruit that you eat mostly when you're breaking your fast.
Breaking your fast.
Right.
So when he brought forth these dates, the messenger said, "La, this is riba. Don't do that."
Right. Give me the original one.
Either give me the original one.
Because they were sweeter anyway.
Yeah. He said in other words, I think Bilal said he didn't sell them. I think he said he traded them he traded 2 baskets of the inferior kind to come up with a basket of a superior kind. And the messenger of Allah said, "La, that's riba." So that was just an example, but he never really expanded further. So these are some of the things that the Quran spoke on that we relied on the messenger of Allah to clear, but there may be some things that haven't been clear.
Because this is what I want to know.
Okay.
Why didn't the Quran correct in the Bible the age in which a girl passes on from girlhood to adult? The Bible says that a girl passes from childhood to adulthood when she comes on her menstrual cycle. Is that the same for the Quran?
I never read that, so therefore I can't say that, because I can only espouse to what I've read. Now, I know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to believe in the Quran, right, that when your children reach of a certain age, then when they come to your door, like if you're arresting before, 3 times that they're supposed to come to your door. If you knock, they have to knock. In other words, ask permission to enter your presence. Okay. When they knock on the door, and they have to say, if you're in your clothes, it's Fajr early in the morning. It's when you lay your clothes aside for the noon prayer. In other words, in Arabia and the other countries, they take, like, let's say in Mexico would be called a siesta. Here, over in Arabia, and then you lay your garments aside to lay down for the early part of the day, and then in the evening time when you go on to bed. Those are 3 times that the children are supposed to come to you. Now, what age that is, I can't attest to. I don't want to say, because there was never no one specific age to say, well, if they're 14, then they're grown. That was never stated.
This is what I'm saying. The Bible.
Okay.
Say the Hebrews.
When we say the Bible, listen what you just said, the Bible.
That's why
and you've agreed with me that the Bible was rewritten.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
That's why I'm asking you. Did the Quran correct that? If the Quran did not find anything wrong with that, it wouldn't have corrected it. Because the Quran is only correcting that which it finds incorrect in the Bible.
Which was corrupted in regards to what man...
That's my point earlier. That was my point earlier. If I got a vacuum cleaner and it's not picking up the dirt on the rug, there could be several things wrong.
Okay, it's clouded, the filter needs to be clean. Because there's some shortcomings somewhere in this particular apparatus.
So this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
This is what I'm saying. The Christians and the Jews both allow grown men to marry young girls after they started their menstrual cycles, and they said this was lawful. So what I'm asking you is, does the Quran agree with the Jews and the Christians on when a girl becomes an adult?
I have no factual information about that right now.
How old was I?
Because I never went. Because I didn't expect this question to be posed.
Right.
When you don't know something in Deen al-Islam, you say you don't know.
You're a wise man.
Okay. So I have to say I don't know at this point in time. I would have to research.
But you will come back.
Well, I have to be back up Inshallah. For a medical procedure, I have to come back up here. So until I have factual information, I have to say to you, I don't know the answer to that specifically.
Right.
Now, perhaps I might could call one of my Muslim brothers, who's the imam.
You could call him right now, because I want to know. I want to know: is a girl considered a grown woman after her first menstrual cycle?
Okay.
You know, some girls come on at 9, some girls come on at 10, some girls come on at 11, some girls come on at 12, some girls come on at 14.
Let me call.
And what is lawful in this situation? Because in the Bible times, according to the story, if the girl had her menstrual cycle, and the man approached her parents and asked her parents for her hand in marriage, if the parents agreed, they allowed it to go down. But I just want to know, did the Quran consider that haram, or did the Quran consider that halal?
I'm getting ready to get an answer for you right now.
That's a good one.
The person I'm calling right now is called Imam ABDUL. And
the name sounds real familiar.
Abdul Haq, he had a masjid, we had a mosque in Newport News on 50th and Jefferson. Finances being what they were, being able to keep all the rent, so forth and so on. I'm surprised he's not answering, so it must be he's either, I hope he's not offering salat, it should be available.
Right, because I know that when democracy spread it throughout the Middle East, and they created secular state governments rather than theocracies, right? The democracies, just like here in America, when the church separated from state, right, and they created a secular government rather than a religious one, it was the non-religious people that fought to get the age raised up to 18.
I'm going to do everything I can to get you an answer. I'm calling some of my most knowledgeable brothers that I know.
Yes, sir, Ken. You know, and that's all I want to know, because we doing a video pretty soon, and we gonna, you know, go into this, you know, whether or not it is lawful to marry a child after she comes on her menstrual cycle.
Nobody's available all of a sudden. I don't understand, but it's alhamdulillah. I'm gonna get you an answer. I'm gonna do my best to get you an answer. I got plenty of Muslim brothers on call. Hold on.
You know, and so that's what I'm asking. Did the Quran deem that particular thing?
Now the Quran, if anyone would have spoken that to begin with, it would have been the message of Allah. So it wouldn't have been.
And he never criticized it.
And I myself never heard the message of Allah. So say anything in respect to that.
Right.
I never read anything. Sorry.
Well, I never read anywhere where anybody in Islam condemned that and said that that was outside of the norm of the deen of Islam. Most people said that it is in accordance with Allah's will. And so I just wanted to know, you know, what was the position of the Quran on this. For the Bible clearly,
as far as I'm concerned,
allows it to be.
I've read where Allah tells the believer, don't marry your daughters or your little girls to disbelievers.
Right, that's what I say. If a believer comes to the parent and asks for the child, girl, after she came on her first menstrual cycle, they ain't say wait till her 12th menstrual, her first 12 menstrual cycles.
Right, 12.
But they, you know, that'd be the first year she ever bled.
Okay.
You get a menstrual cycle a month.
Age of 12.
Right. No, some girls come on at 9.
Okay.
Before she turned 10, she would have 12 cycles.
Wow.
You get a cycle a month.
Yeah.
Right. That's 12 cycles, which knows a year went past.
Okay.
Right. So there was no stipulation on would it be her first 7 menstrual cycles, which was 7 months after she came on. All they saying is if she shows the blood and you approach, if you're a believer and you approach her mother or her father and ask them for their daughter's hand in marriage, if the parents agree with it, it can go down.
Now that I think it depends on what country that may be in.
Right.
Simply, I think that's specific
simply because
cultural as opposed to.
It determines which country it is simply because it would be a democracy going against that law. Now, if it's in an Islamic state going by the Sharia, they see no problem with it. Because it wasn't until 1969, 1979, etc.
And what foundation you had to support with that statement you just made?
You can go online and do the history on it, right? Okay. They'll tell you when the ages was raised up. For years, for over 1,000 years in Jordan, you could marry a 9-year-old girl if she came on her menstrual cycle. For over 1,000 years in Syria, you could do it.
You just told me something that I never known.
A lot of people don't know this, but once you find out it's a part of the deen, see, there's a brother from Pakistan over there. We could ask him.
He need to come over. I would like to join in that conversation.
Hey, Pakistan. Hey, Paki.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yo! He won't come over here.
Abdul Haq.
Hey, Paki. Yo, Pakistan. He can't hear me.
That's okay. I'm gonna get an answer.
Yeah.
Cause I gotta get.
Hey, Pakistan. He can't hear.
Oh, the one in the blue shirt?
Yeah, yeah.
I think I know him too. I've seen him someplace.
Yeah, he could have answered it in Afghanistan for over 1,000 years under the rule of Islam. You could marry a girl as soon as she come on her menstrual cycle if you ask her parents and you are a believer.
By me not having no knowledge of that, I don't want anyone to address that.
Yeah, because it needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Because you know, child sex is very wrong.
Yeah, without doubt. But here's the thing too. When you start, and they're on my bus, but here's the thing too. We need to understand too, when Adam and Eve came into existence, there was at some point God allowed incest to take place in order for the procreate in this world. This is a true fact.
So incest is permissible?
No. I didn't say
at one time it was.
Until Allah SWT shut it down. I mean, and that's,
so
how else would you
was
have
Adam one man or many men? Was Hawa, Eve, one woman?
God didn't say Adam was many men. He said that he created Adam from sounding clay.
So that's starting off incest.
He said he created Adam from sounding clay, and he created Hawa from a piece of his body, which would have been
Hawa. Yeah.
Hawa from a piece of his rib, right?
Yeah.
So with those two, then he put them into the garden. Now understand, along with this creation, he also had angels. He also had the jinn. He also, and because this is where Shaitan came from the jinn, right? So, because he said Shaitan was of the jinn. Now, once they fell from grace based on what they done, he sent them all down here to earth. He said this is going to be your rest of the dwelling place until I come and call time.
So Allah couldn't get around incest? He couldn't
suspect that if none of us could judge God.
I'm not judging Allah. I'm asking a question based on the statement you just said.
Because what we haven't done.
Because I ain't heard Allah say that. I heard you say that, so I'm asking you.
Okay, here's what I'm saying to you. In Islam, we have what you call the Qadr of Allah. It's the decree of Allah, which means
a fatwa.
Nah, a fatwa is something different. A fatwa is a dictate based on what the learned brothers, the ulemas, what we call them, the scholars, the sheikhs and ulema, when they come to a certain understanding of a particular issue, they issue a fatwa, which is a ruling.
Right,
that's different from what Allah SWT. Allah SWT controls everything, right? So, when he created, and I don't want to miss this bus because that's my bus right there, but when he created all things, and he gave it his order, and he gave it, everybody has laws and everything has reason. In other words, the only one that has free will is the human being.
So what would have been the reason for incest?
Okay, to procreate, and we didn't call it incest then, but that's what it would have been, because we understand that that's what it is.
So some things can be right at one time, but in another time
until Allah calls time, and he decides that a matter needs to be rectified.
You will come back.
You and I can pick this conversation up.
We can pick this conversation up again. This is going to be on New Black World Order TV on YouTube. Go to New Black World Order TV on YouTube.
You gotta have to send me that information. I'm gonna give you my number right off gate. Just take my number and then send it to my phone.
What's your number?
You ready for it?
Yeah.
593-757-5930. ISHMAEL.
Got you. Peace and blessings. Black power, King.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.